and welcome to episode 3 of the On a Family Basis podcast. My name is Jake.
I'm Dallas, the best.
What's up, everybody? I'm Ben, and Dan will hopefully be joining us shortly.
We will see about when that is. So this is 4 cousins on one baseball podcast. We will take a trip around the bases. We'll talk about some major topics in baseball this past week, and we'll have some laughs at maybe my expense this week. As it may usually it's not at my expense, but we'll have some laughs. So, but on the first episode we ever did, Ben and Dallas actually joked about Babe Ruth, his workout routine. But did you guys know anything about his diet?
Outside of the traditional joking hot dogs and beer every day that you hear, I don't know. I would assume. Okay, so when did he play? The 19 teens, essentially, right? 19 teens,
Yeah,
1920s.
Yeah, up throughout the second decade of the whatever century that was, 1910s, 20s, 30s.
So realistically, he was Babe Ruth, right? So he could get anything he wanted in a country that didn't have a ton, right?
Right.
Did they even have refrigerators back then? Like, what could he have been eating? What could he have been having that made him look so large? And if you ever looked at the size of Babe Ruth, he's not that big. He's only like 6'2" or something like that. But he looks so towering, so massive.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure about the refrigerator question, but for one thing, I did hear and see a lot of reported news about the hot dogs and beer thing. It may actually be more close to accurate than not.
Oh wow!
Mm-hmm.
But one tweet I saw this week, which was kind of confirmed if I did my research right, was that the tweet was Babe Ruth drank a quart of bourbon and ginger ale with breakfast, consisting of a steak, a dozen eggs, and potatoes. Every
what was the last
single morning. Potatoes every single morning.
I thought you said Cheetos, and I was like, wait. He's just crunching a bag of flaming hot Cheetos with his steak and bourbon.
Dude. No. So, all right, refrigerator became commonly used in the 1930s. I just cannot believe he lived 53 years on that diet. I mean, back then, I feel like that was a long time to live. Like, now it's like, man, he died young. But back then, they're like, man, that's old.
And he was 53 and living that lifestyle, though.
Dude, he was living college freshman year every day.
Yeah, disgusting. Yeah. So anyway, I can send you guys some links about that. It's kind of maybe laugh a little bit this week.
Could you eat that in a day? If I gave you a full 24 hours to eat 12 eggs, a steak, and a quart of bourbon and ginger ale, Jay?
Yeah.
A quart of bourbon? I don't
even know how much that is.
Yeah, I don't know.
It seems like a lot. Let's just call it a fifth of bourbon, ginger ale, steak, and 12 eggs.
A fifth of bourbon? I feel like that's far too much. Like, I feel like a quart is like a pint.
All right.
Is that right?
Well, either way.
All right, Jake, go ahead.
I don't know. I'm curious now. I want to know.
Well, all right. I'll send you guys all those links. Again, it just made me laugh. That's the only reason I brought it up. So let's move on to what we always talk about at the beginning. What's some stuff you guys watched this past week in sports?
Wait, we need to address this. It's a liter. What? It's a whole liter of bourbon. Yeah, that's disgusting.
Wow.
I don't know if I could do that every day.
No.
I'd be done after that.
That was at breakfast. Anyways, so
Never mind the other 12 hours in his day.
It's more than a fifth, dude.
Yeah. All right. So what did you guys watch this past week in sports, but also just maybe in general? What did you guys watch this past week?
Well, I've been crushing football. Obviously, it's playoffs. Today, this weekend was wild card weekend. So there was 6 games on or 5 games on, including the one right now. Hesu and I started the Eternals last night. It was okay. It didn't really hook me. I'm a huge Marvel fan, so I love all those movies. But it was one of the ones that I genuinely just didn't care if I saw in theaters. But it's just all right. So we haven't finished it, but it's just okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, outside of sports and that, I haven't really watched much. What about you, Dal?
It's a bummer, man. I actually liked the Eternals. It's not my favorite, but it's a good standalone.
Maybe I'll finish, or when we finish it, maybe I'll like it. I mean, we only watched like 20, 30 minutes of it.
That's not bad. I watched 3 minutes of the Cowboys game. Didn't realize they were going to make it close and interesting. And started watching, I don't know, the John Cena one, superhero one. Peacemaker. That's right. I thought it was going to be a movie, and then it ended. I was like, that's a weird ending. And then it started the next episode, and I was like, it's not.
Yeah, it's a show.
It's Peacemaker, and let's just say for our audience, that is a mature show, so no kids should be watching that one.
Highly recommended, kids.
No.
And while you guys are at it, Taxi Cab Confessions, check that one
out. No, everyone stop right now. We are not going down this road. All right. Anyway, so I actually did not watch much sports past week. Well, for one thing, obviously there's no baseball. There was no college football. College basketball is always on TV, it feels like, but never care to watch. And the NFL last couple of as you said, Dal, I watched like 2 or 3 minutes of a game, but I was like, I don't feel like taking a nap right now, so I just changed channel.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's that. Everything else, we've been watching. Our 2 favorite shows are New Amsterdam on NBC and This Is Us. And those 2 shows, we always watch when as they premiere. So that's kind of what stands out.
I didn't know This Is Us is still coming out, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's the final season. So,
dang.
Anyway. But let's move on to a couple pieces of news, and I'll kind of quickly go over them. There's 4 pieces of news this week that we'll bring up. The first thing is that we talked about this last episode, was that the MLB and the MLBPA were going to have a meeting last Thursday. They did have that meeting. They talked about some minor economic issues, and the league proposed a draft lottery. There's something we can talk about in depth later, but the point is they want to disincentivize teams from tanking. So that's one proposal they put out there. There's no major news outside of that. Kind of what we expected. Nothing really happened. And that's a downer because pitchers and catchers are supposed to report to spring training in less than 1 month. Mm-hmm. So it does not look good that will start on time, let alone the season. So that happened last Thursday. And something that happened after that meeting was they had international prospects signing over the weekend, mainly from Latin America. And these are players that are usually under the age of 25. So some of them are as young as 16 years old, which I find kind of surprising.
That's wild.
But I mean, for one thing, a 16-year-old got signed to the Twins. He just happens to be the younger brother of MLB star Ronald Acuna. His name is Brian Acuna. He plays shortstop, and the Twins signed him. So that's kind of big news. The White Sox signed, of those international prospects, they signed the 5th ranked prospect, Oscar Colas. He is a 23-year-old from Cuba, and the Cubs signed 2 of the top 50 prospects, and one of those players if you guys watch the Little League World Series, a couple years ago, one of their prospects the Cubs just signed was the star player for Panama. So apparently he's doing pretty well. So yeah, but
That's impressive.
a lot of young talent got signed. So a lot of young talent got money for the first time maybe in their lives. So that's always a good
Yeah, I
thing.
would say most of them probably.
Yeah, it's kind of the situation. So next thing is I think for Cubs fans, you guys have already heard of this, but John Lester announced his retirement. And one of the first things people are doing is that after John Lester retired, they're quickly debating if he's in the Hall of Fame. I don't want to do that right now on this podcast. Let's save that for another time. But I will say this: John Lester did retire after 18 or what is it, 16, 18 years in the pros.
Mm-hmm.
He made 30 starts 12 times in his career, which again is a big thing. He had a 2.51 postseason ERA. He won 3 World Series titles. He has 200 wins, and he has obviously a career ERA under 4, which for this day and age is actually really good. So, as Cubs fans, what do you guys think of John Lester retiring?
I mean, we don't win a World Series without him, right?
True.
You needed that veteran starter because I mean, I think the Cubs got lucky with Arrieta being good for that because he was bad on the Orioles, right? Cubs make the trade, get him and Stroke, revitalizes both of their careers. They end up being super successful, but you needed that ace, that one guy you could count on that has postseason experience, that is a great pitcher, whether he's a Hall of Famer or not. You know, and Lester was that guy. And so, yeah, I mean, he like we talked about last week. I think it was when we were talking about Stroman, or maybe it was the first week. It was just consistency, right? It's where you want a guy that's going to eat innings for you, a guy that you know is going to give you starts, a guy that's going to stay healthy, and yeah, I mean, he pitched from 22, the age of 22, the age of 37. So, I mean, I can tell you what I was doing at 22, and it sure was not pitching in the major leagues. And the fact that I'm closer to 37 is sad.
Yeah. Well, also you have to figure in he also beat cancer at the beginning of his career. So he's a cancer survivor, 3-time World Series champion, and for Cubs fans, we all love him. So
and another thing that he did was he made $198 million in his career. So
that's some change.
I'm all about the players making as much money as they can. So if you can make 198 million, go for it.
Yeah, I mean that's true. And the last piece of news, which we'll just kind of comment on real quick, is that the Baltimore Orioles are changing their outfield. Their left field is going to be moved back 26.5 feet and is going to look a little bit like, if you guys know, the Pittsburgh Pirates PNC Park. Their left field will have that little divot, that little sharp corner. The Orioles are going to be doing that this upcoming season, so they didn't even plan on it until recently. But people are making fun of it online. So, do you guys see that piece of news?
Yeah. I think the Orioles had a great stadium before. Probably one of my favorites. I think that home run derby that they did in Baltimore, where Griffey's bounced it off the warehouse, and you get that whole thing just made Baltimore Stadium look really cool, like you wanted to go to it. So I think any changes that you can make are a good thing. And like we joked about, or I joked about in our group chat, I was like, they're probably tired of losing all the time and giving up home runs to Gleyber Torres. So if you push the wall back 30 feet, literally going to save you a couple home runs. And for the Orioles, that might make the difference in winning a couple games. So it makes sense. So good for them. But, I mean, I'm just excited any team that makes renovations to their stadium as long as it turns out well,
Yeah.
I liked all the changes that they did to Wrigley, but that's just.
I think it's a good
What do you
change.
say?
All right. I think it's going to vary by who you ask if it's a good change or not, because you'll see, like, even with what we're going to be talking about in a little bit about like the permanent DH on both leagues, it's like you want to, like, people are like, they're trying to gear baseball towards higher runs per game, and then the Orioles are like, no, actually, we're going to move the wall back, and like, it's just like, y'all need to make up your minds, like, get on the same page. You either keep the balls where they are and then add some DHs, and I don't know, make, like, they're trying to make like it more appealing to the fans. Like, after the Astros cheating, like, I think pandemic maybe aside or included, it's impossible to really tell, but everybody's sitting at home, and we just experienced the lowest rated World Series, I think, of almost all time.
Yeah.
So it's like, I like low scoring games, but I don't know if this is exactly, if it's going to aid in what the league is trying to do. So good for them. I think it'll be a nice move, but I don't see it appealing to the masses.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't think it moves the needle?
Nah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We got you, Dan. Welcome on.
I was going to say Baltimore's going to have to find some arms to keep the ball in the park. No
Yeah.
matter how far you move the wall back, you still have to have guys that are going to not give it up.
When you got the animal stepping up to the plate, I mean, it's going. All right.
I'm going Jake.
Yeah.
But no, I think it'll be good. I kind of like Baltimore.
I'm going
I think
Dallas.
They got a lot of guys.
They
got a lot to
does
look
that mean?
forward to. So you don't remember those old baseball cards from the 90s?
I thought you meant the Jake as in like the Indians' old stadium or the Guardians' old stadium.
Yeah,
so I was
that's
like,
another thing
what?
we'll talk about.
That was super good.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it was an old Bowman. I think it was Bowman or Topps had a set of cards that was like a collector's special release edition. It was called Going Jake, and it was like it was like the top home run hitters from back, like, and I want to say it was like 97, 96, 98, somewhere in there. I think it was Bowman came out with the card set.
So it wasn't just a series of cards on Jake Westbrook?
It was not. It was not.
Should have been.
I disagree.
All right, so let's move to our first topic, and this topic is actually Dallas proposed it, but I'll intro it. So the first topic was, again, intro by Dal. He proposed talking about the 27-year-old Japanese outfielder Seiya Suzuki. Seiya Suzuki is a 27-year-old Japanese baseball player who is going to be looking for a new home in the MLB this upcoming year. Problem is, with the lockout, he's not able to sign right now. And he's getting a bunch of attention, and reportedly he's had meetings on Zoom, granted, with 10 to 12 different teams. So there's quite a bit of interest in him defensively, and his offense is, by most accounts, pretty good for a 27-year-old. And he'll be making the move hopefully as soon as this lockout ends. Now, first question is, why the hype for him? Why is there such a big fuss about him?
I would assume he seems to be. I feel like it's still such a leap to make the comparison, but in his 8 seasons, I think he's got 8 seasons over in this Japanese league that he's playing in, he's faring stats that were similar to Ichiro's stats when he was playing overseas. And I assume that's where the hype is coming from, because Ichiro is like, I mean, he's Ichiro. It's the one named baseball player. So I mean, it's like C on the field. Come on, guys. So he started off. I think he started off in high school like as a pitcher, and then he moved to the infield like for his first season or two, and now he's like in the outfield, and he's been selected as like so I think the award's like called the best of 9 or something like that, where it's like they pick the best of each player from each position, and he's been on that selected committee or like the selected roster for like, was it 5 or 6 years of his 8? So I mean, it's pretty stellar. And if he keeps at the pace, and you know, I think only time will tell. And I mean, obviously, but it could be the next Ichiro, you know.
So I get the Ichiro comp, and I think that's common, right?
Mm-hmm.
We always do that, and it happens in other sports too. Is you kind of group people based on nationality. Not saying that's what you were doing, but he is coming from Japan, so it's
right.
It makes sense. But think about all the players that came over from Japan that were terrible. Cubs have one.
Yeah.
Anybody? Kosuke Fukudome, ex-White Sox, great, no less.
Fuku.
Most of the time, they end up being bad. And I'm not saying they're bad baseball players. I'm just saying for whatever reason it didn't translate. They weren't prepared. You know, I think this guy, Suzuki's really setting up, or not. His name's not Suzuki. What was his name?
It's last name. Yeah.
Suzuki, yeah. That's what I thought. Yeah. So he's really going to be at a disadvantage, especially if he doesn't get in the training camp, especially if there's no spring training, especially if he signs this offseason, and because he's going to have to go to the minor leagues. You can't just call up or bring a guy over, right? I mean, and expect him to just make the opening day roster with no spring training. Speak of, Ichiro had a spring training. All these other guys had spring training. This guy's coming in straight off the plane, and they're asking him, hey, you know, and who even knows when the season's going to start? Who says the season starts on time? Let's say the season starts in May because they skipped the whole month of April because they can't come to an agreement. Then this guy's even further behind the baseball. And I think the other part of it is you just had all the success of Shohei. You had all the success of Shohei, and you are trying to capitalize on this amazing two-way player type of deal with this guy's, you know, this phenomenal athlete and all this other stuff. And I think A team is going to overspend, and I think, you know, time has shown us that there's been 2 truly great Japanese players that have made it, 3 if you want to count like Nomo, fine, but
Hideki Matsui.
That's okay. So there you go. I mean, so there's probably more than I think, but there's probably a lot more guys who didn't make it than did make it. And I hope for the best for him. Like I said, I think he has every tool to be great from what I saw, but I just don't know if he's going to be able to piece it together. I think this is just such an unfortunate timing for him in his career that he's coming over now. Like if he would have came over last year or waits until, you know, another year from now, maybe.
Yep.
But I don't know.
I mean, it's not ideal timing, but
Well,
I don't know. And this is
why?
just, I'm
can't
just
he?
going off. What's up, Dan?
No, why can't he play? Can he play in Japan and then come over? Like when their season starts. If he doesn't, we don't have an MLB season. Who's to say he can't be in baseball shape and form by playing in Japan?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how the contracts work. I don't know how he's able to sign if he can.
I don't think he's able to just hang out at both places.
So he has a posting of 30 days, which is on pause because of the lockout. But whenever he has, I'm not sure the exact number of days left, but he has only 30 days to sign. If he does not sign within 30 days, he goes back to the MPB. So he can play
When does the 30 days
full
start?
year. Well, it
Probably
started
once they get the agreement done.
It started before the lockout started, so it's on pause because there's a lockout, but it will start again very soon. So
whatever he
will
has
have
remaining of that 30
Right.
days will pick up from where he left off when the
Right.
lockout's over.
I just think so. I just did a quick scan of other Japanese players that like prominent ones that had come through the league, and like the only player that's comparable to Suzuki is Ichiro. all of his performance in the Japanese leagues, like they outperform Fukudome, they outperform Matsui, just everybody I've looked up. He's on track. That's all I'm saying. Like, and Japan's it's a notable league. So if he's doing well there, we'll see how it translates. But hopefully it's not bad. But I mean, it's always good to see good players come into the league. Just
another Japanese legend, Shigetoshi Hashigawa, right here.
Yeah,
here he is.
Yeah, so the one difference between most of those players, Otani is the one that's comparable in age, but most of the players, like even Ichiro and Matsui, who came over from the league, came over in the early 30s. He's 27.
Young.
Problem is, he's also looking. Reportedly, he's also looking for 5 years, 60 mil. So, Dan, I'll ask you this question: is that a risky signing, or is he more of a project that you believe will turn out?
Every signing is risk. Every signing is based off of what someone did. You're not going to know how his kid's going to translate to American baseball. But I will say, in the 9 years he's been in Japan, in his career, he's got a .310 batting average. He's hitting 190 home runs. He's got over 1,000 hits in 9 years. He's apparently a three-position athlete. Second short and third short and right. So I'm not sure what the position is he's going to be looking to play when he comes over. Obviously, it'll more likely depend on who he signs with ultimately and where their team needs are.
That's such a bizarre combination of positions to play. He plays shortstop, catcher, and he's a hot dog vendor on Saturday. It's like,
hey man, kid plays what he plays,
man. Living in America.
But I mean, every signing is risk. You don't know. The kid could come over and blow a knee out rounding first in his very first ball game. He could come over and play for 15 years in Major League Baseball and have a Hall of Fame career, or he could be one of the next guys that just kind of is a body for a couple of years, and when his contract's over, he bounces around a little and fades away.
Yeah, which we should also say, we sincerely hope that he does not blow out his knee. Let's just put that out there.
Hey, speak for yourself.
That is a possibility.
We want good juju out in the world.
Obviously, I don't hope the kid. I hope the kid doesn't get hurt. I want to see, I want to see everybody play at their top level as possible.
Dan wants to see a knee explode.
I hope he rolls his ankle and he's never this knee. I hope he gets a really bad splinter.
You're putting out some bad vibes, Dan. All right,
so, Dan, that's some real jealousy here.
Dan is not. You are interpreting incorrectly what I'm trying to say.
Right,
nonetheless,
no.
Do I think he's worth the risk? I mean, he's got great offensive statistics, from Japan.
Yeah.
And from what I read on him and what I seen, everything says the kid's going to be able to make the transition and play over, not the, and someone's going to take the chance. It's going to be, obviously, it's going to be a big market team, or at least someone with a lot of payroll.
Let's make a quick prediction so we can round first and hit second. Which team do you think sent him, or which team should / will?
I didn't look to see what of the 10, 12 teams are that have met with him.
So I can list that pretty quick. It's the Yankees, the Mariners, Red Sox, Dodgers, Rays, Padres, Blue Jays, Giants.
Cool. I love that the Cubs aren't even trying.
Yeah, right. Either the White Sox. I don't know. I feel like the Yankees have a huge payroll, but I feel like they have so much up in the air as far as outfields go with position players. You know, you've got Glaber at short. Right now, you've got what the hell is his name at third base? I can't. I'm drawing a mental blank here.
Andujar.
Yeah, Miguel Andujar, or with the other kid from
Gio.
Yeah, there you go. So I don't know that fits. Boston, you know, they traded Renfroe. I don't know who else they have out in the outfield besides Verdugo. Then I saw they brought back Jackie Bradley. You know, he could.
He should have never left.
You know, they got obviously they don't need him on the infield as far as second or short and third because they've got Devers and Bogarts. So I mean, unless you're going to put him in the outfield, I don't know that Boston's the best fit for him. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go to Seattle, you know, but there's again, he might not want to sign with Seattle due to the Ichiro comparison. He might have that thing of, you know, I don't want to live up to, because no matter where, if he goes to Seattle, anybody that goes there from Japan is going to have that immediate comparison, right? So I could see him going to Seattle though, because they probably have a big enough payroll to sign him.
So there's a couple things that we have to remember about Asian people. This isn't a generic thing. Okay, great. No. Let's not. I'm just saying they're very respectful. So to Dan's point, they're not. He wouldn't want to. It's more of like he wouldn't want to step on Ichiro's toes of being on the Mariners, and less of like him being afraid to be in Ichiro's shadow type of deal. That's all I meant.
Yeah. The one thing is that other Japanese players have signed with the Mariners since Ichiro, so it's not like it's unprecedented. It's not new. So it's
right, but he plays the same position.
Yes, but also they do have a right fielder in Mitch Haniger. So in theory, he could play right, and he could, you know, possibly move over to the left, or Mitch can move.
Well, if they're looking for a third baseman, they Seager's gone.
I know. So the one thing I would say about the Mariners, and that's kind of my guess, but the one thing I would say is that if you had to choose between Chris Bryant and him, I would choose Chris Bryant because he can play the outfield and play third base and be a DH if you need him to. So, but my best guess is that he will go. I think he should go to Seattle. I think he will go to the Red Sox. It's my guess.
All right, so I didn't actually make a guess. My official pick is that he's not going to sign this year, and that he'll hold off till next year. And then I reserve the right to pick next year when he decides. So I'm not wrong.
I think Ben's right. That he's going to be a hot dog vendor wherever he goes.
Wow. All right, so let's move on. Round first base. Hit Dodgers. Yeah. Well, they are signing like everyone, so that kind of helps. So let's move from first base and hit second base, and let's talk about the universal DH. Now, again, as Chicago guys, only one of us has grown up with the DH on his favorite team. That's Dan, because he's in the American. They're in the American League. The National League is potentially going to be getting a DH as a part of this new collective bargaining agreement. Now, when this was first reported, the league proposed this, and the quote is that the players were on the same page. So, if this does become a part of the National League, a designated hitter is a around the horn, yes or no, or yes or no around the horn. Are you in favor of the National League picking up the universal DH? I'll start with Dallas. Are you? Yes or no?
I don't want it.
No. All right, Dan, what do you think?
Yes.
Yes. Ben?
Yeah, because watching pitchers hit isn't fun.
Okay, so we do have two things, and my opinion is yes, but that's a very soft yes. I believe that could be down the road, but let's see. We have two opinions on this, and that is kind of the overall picture of American baseball fans. They're very split on this issue. So Dan, Ben, why don't you guys make some points, make a case for why the NL should pick up the universal DH?
All right, I'll just finish off what I was saying earlier. I don't want to see pitchers hit. It's cute when they get a hit or when they do something well, but otherwise, watching them just stand there with the bat on their shoulder,
Just to
three
strike out.
pitches, yeah, it's like, what are we doing? You can still play small ball in the American League if you really cared. Rays did it back in the day. Where you didn't have guys hitting 60 home runs, but you still made the World Series because you still played baseball a certain way. That's totally feasible and that's totally doable. You have to have a manager with a desire to do so that's important. But I believe the fact that you could get another guy to just come in and hit bombs for you, you're going to extend the career of somebody a decent amount. Or even if, it gives you a roster flexibility spot where you can stick a guy like, let's say in this example, Suzuki goes to the Mariners. So they want to stick him in right field. Bam, Haniger gets to slide over DH. If you want to if he plays for the Giants, let's say he goes in the National League and the Giants pick up the DL or the DH. Let's say Yastrzemski's out in right, he wants a day off. Bam, he gets the DH. He sticks Suzuki out in right field. It gives you flexibility, roster flexibility. You don't have to worry about so much strategy pitch wise, like, oh, my pitcher's coming up second next inning. Do I need to get somebody up in the bullpen? I think it kind of eases that transition a little bit to make it less demanding on managers in that regard, especially on Cardinals. But yeah, so I would say it makes a lot of sense. Get more runs, get more people that can hit home runs because fans like home runs, and so you're just gonna, the Cubs could still have power score.
Ben is completely right on everything he has to say. It expands your roster. It opens up so much more room of flexibility. You can carry an extra infielder, an extra outfielder. It allows you to give guys that don't really have a day off, or allows you to take pressure off their leg and their body by just hitting and not having to play the field, especially like catchers. It's a very, their position alone is very physically demanding. And it just opens up so much more. And he's right. I'm tired of watching pitchers walk up to the plate and just stand there with a bat or take a half swing at the pitch that they have nose and actually swinging at. There's a handful of guys in Major League Baseball where the pitcher can actually put a bat on the ball successfully. And they attempt to go up there and do it every at bat. And it's annoying to watch guys just walk up there and they know they're going to strike out. So you got a pitcher who's going to just throw 3 fastballs down the pipe because he knows his counterpart is going to stand there and look at him. You can still play small ball in the American League. Ben's right. You have to have a manager with the mindset. You have to have the right players with the mindset and skill set to do it, but you can still do it. There's no reason you cannot play small ball, bunt guys over, steal bases, and any team. And I 100% am for switching to a universal DH because you're also going to expend the life of pitchers. You're going to extend the life of a lot of players because pitchers don't have to bat. They don't have to then run the bases because they don't do that on a regular basis. How many times you see guys get hurt just trying to run run from home to first because they don't do it and they get
Mark Pryor, smashing into Marcus Giles at second base.
Right. Like
same concept.
It doesn't happen that often, but it's still something that happens that it's worth eliminating from the game. If the game's going to evolve and the game's going to change, like baseball should, you need to go to universal DH.
So
and
Dallas,
Universal Studios.
In Dallas, what is your belief about this? You said no. Why do you think they should not adopt the universal DH?
Well, if somebody gets hurt running to first base, like they shouldn't be a professional athlete. So stretch before the game, do your calisthenics.
So unfair.
Don't be an idiot. So
That's
Stretch.
so like what?
That's so unfair.
You can't help the way you like run if you happen to just plant wrong and roll an ankle.
You can 100% reduce the risk of pulling a hamstring if you warmed up and stretched. Anyway,
So why make a pitcher do it?
but you can make you can make the same argument for everybody. Why does anybody play the field then? Let's just have a team that's consistent of batters, and then a team that's consistent. Then like the other half is fielders. Like that's what I'm getting at. Like you're a baseball player. You should be able to swing the bat and hit the ball too. So yeah, I agree that pitchers have sucked traditionally, but like why? Like you're just letting them be complacent then, not because like nobody's expecting them to hit. So like pick up the bat, like practice. Like you're a baseball player. Like you don't have a first baseman that only does defense. All right, like nobody else on the field is expected to just like do one part of their job. Like so, and I guess it's just baseball purism. Like the DH was only picked up 40-ish years ago, so they were playing baseball before that. Like they should still be doing it now, and that's my thing. And you can't deny the fact that when a pitcher comes up and actually rock the heck out of a baseball, like it's not exciting, and the crowd goes berserk. So,
i.e., Michael Lorenzen.
I just think it's an important part. I don't know. Like I understand like giving partial days to players, and I also like understand I really think it's just about trying to draw in a bigger crowd, and I understand that too. Nobody wants to see, like you guys were saying, you get frustrated with watching a pitcher just do nothing, and you practically are considering it like an automatic out, but really like it's just a part of their job. Like put them in the batting cage. Like come on guys, like it's just I don't know. Like true, they only bat while they're pitching, so it's not like they're getting a lot of reps in, but they're still baseball players. They've been playing all their lives. Like I think that it should just be a part of the game.
Yeah, it's just so you guys know, I'm kind of in the middle on this, and I kind of get my position from reporter Jason Stark, and he's a reporter for The Athletic, and his position, which I almost fully agree with, and I think it's a really good idea, is that his idea is that there should be a DH to start the game, but whenever your starting pitcher comes out of the game, you lose the DH. So that incentivizes starters to pitch longer. It incentivizes teams to still has a lot of strategy behind it, and then those pinch hitters that usually thrive in those situations can still thrive in late innings. So it's not going to be a huge thing, but I do believe starting pitching with how much starting pitching has the demand has been reduced down to like 4 or 5 innings of great pitching. I do believe
Isn't it crazy?
What? Yeah, I mean it's
no,
it is crazy because again I say it's old man. When we grew up in our day, pitching a complete game was doable. And nowadays,
it wasn't something that ESPN like ran across the bottom ticker or cared about. It was expected. It was something that you did. You like we talked about earlier. We talked about Burley or not Burley, Lester. If you can get a guy that's consistently going to go out there, give you 9 innings, or obviously if you can get a guy that's going out there and give you 9 innings, you got basically Cy Young or Bob Gibson on your hands. Those guys who just said, "Yeah, the relievers can take a day off. I got this one." But I wish there's a lot of stuff that would change. Like we would go back to that style of baseball because I liked it. I don't really like situational lefty pitchers who just taking up a roster spot to get one guy out one game. You know what I mean? I want a starter that's going to pitch a lot of innings, and I like a bullpen that's active and stuff like that. But I don't hate that idea. I need some time to think about it because that's the first I had ever heard of it, Jake. Is yours and Jason Stark's.
It's not my idea. But yeah,
but I mean what you
idea.
said and what Jason Stark said. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would just need some time to kind of digest that. Maybe check back with me next week. I can talk.
I don't hate it, but I hate it.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Get rid of all of it.
That's good.
No, just check back with me, Chick. All right.
Yeah, I mean, sounds good. I mean, we definitely won't have a CBA agreement, so I'll check back in with you. We have time.
There we go. We have plenty of time to discuss.
So, last question when it comes to the universal DH is most likely it will be happening this year, whether we're in favor of it or not. And I get both sides. I get both sides. But I will say this. The question is, when it does happen, what better of a story? Is there a better story in baseball than Albert Pujols going back to the Cardinals to play one last year with Yadi Molina and Adam Wainwright? Who else is, even as a Cubs fan, I'm in favor of that. And
I'm in favor of that because I think Pujols is trash, and watching him get out, he's maybe 55 years old. I don't even know if he knows how old he is. But the fact that you get to watch him struggle as a Cubs fan and on a Cardinals team, that's great. That's great. Dude, his WAR is probably going to be negative again, which means they're losing games because he's on the field, which is awesome. So if he could sign for the Cardinals, the Pirates, the Brewers, and the Reds, he just gets to play whenever he wants on all those teams. Just let him lose.
Just float
But I mean,
around.
he's great, obviously, and he's probably like a top 20 player ever, but whatever.
Yeah.
He's like 50. That would be cool.
Well,
I agree. That would be a fun story.
Well, knowing that this is going to be Yadier Molina and Adam Wainwright's last year on the Cardinals, having Pujols be there with them, I think would be very fitting because they all kind of came up together and they're all good friends. I think it'd be a good story for baseball. And you have to think a lot of people are going to be very upset with the league this year and with players. If the Cardinals sign them, that's at least one good story you can, watch every single day if you want to. And whenever they come to your city, there's going to be tons of jerseys swapped, a bunch of autograph sessions and stuff. So I think it's at least one good piece. So maybe get some collusion going with the league and the PA to get one good story going. So let's round second base and hit third. And let's go to Dan's topic for the week. And that's a breakdown. We're going to take a peek at the NL West this week. So, Dan, I'll let you take it.
Cool. I'm going to go with the Diamondbacks being bad because, unfortunately, the Diamondbacks are always bad, it seems like, lately. You have to imagine the Dodgers are going to win the division. I think the Giants were a massive fluke. I don't think the Giants are actually good. So I don't think the Giants are going to be that good again next year. And I think the Dodgers are probably going to win that division by 10 games. Padres will be okay. I think the Padres are a lot of hype too until Tatis figures it out. And, he stops making errors every other play. I don't think he's going to reach his full potential as good as he can be. It looks like they were moving Hosmer. They're trying to move Hosmer. They don't know. Machado's got a big contract. He's great still, but for how long? I think the Padres window is closing. I think the Dodgers are still the Dodgers. And I think them getting Bellinger back on a relatively cheap contract, because he did have a bad year last year, means he's going to probably have another spike year and be really good. So I think the fact that you can't count anybody out, you can't count the Dodgers out ever. They always, like you said, they're always going to sign somebody. And then I think the Giants are going to take a step back. Diamondbacks are always bad. Rockies are always bad. And I think the Padres are going to be the Padres. But that's kind of where we're at. But I think it has to be the Dodgers division.
I agree. It's a Dodgers division. There's a lot of free agents and stuff coming out of the West. We got guys like Chris Bryant, who just finished with the Giants, who I think, honestly, in my opinion, I think he's going to go back to San Francisco. I think it's probably one of the best fits for him. The Dodgers alone, you just lost Corey Seager. You have a giant question mark in Clayton Kershaw. Your back end, Kenley Jansen, do you bring him back? Is he too old? Do you move on? They have guys that are in the bullpen that they could take over the position, guys like Luis Urias. Julio Urias. Brewster Gratterall. The Dodgers, have guys in questions as well. Rockies are just bad right now.
Yes.
Trevor Story is a giant question there.
We're going to lose him. He's gone, right?
Right,
I can't imagine him.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think he's coming back. So that's your question is, are you going to try to make a run at him, or are you to try to bring him back? I mean,
I just don't know why they didn't trade him last year. What was the sense in holding on to him? What were they gaining?
It was a bad move keeping him.
Oh,
That's all it was. It was bad. That's all. So, but no, I do agree with you guys. I do think the Dodgers come away with it. I mean, they were so close last year, and the Giants had a historical year, and the Dodgers were still super close. So you gotta think the Dodgers are able to make some moves, make some signings. Again, I know they lost Scherzer, they lost Kershaw, they lost Seager, and those are three big pieces. But you got to also think they're going to sign maybe one person before and one person after the lockout, and then they'll trade for someone at the deadline. So I think they're going to.
They can make a big run at Trevor Story alone. You got a hole at shortstop now.
I think the Dodgers are one of those teams where they probably have some dude coming up who's going to be.
Well, I mean, they signed they signed Trey Turner. So are you moving him back over to short, and you're going to ride out with Gavin Lux, at second, which I think is a great fit for the two of them.
I don't think he's.
I like Gavin Lux.
I think you have to give that a shot. You have to at least give Gavin Lux at least half the year to see if he can produce something.
Well, you've given him some time already. He played a lot in 2020. Granted, I know it was a half a season. I get that. Or quarter season, whatever the hell it was. But I think that's the way they're going to have to move. They're going to move Trey Turner back to short, and they're going to give Lux back his spot at second because he kind of lost it when they brought Trey Turner in. But nonetheless, the Padres are going to be good. I think they're going to be really good. They have an outstanding pitching staff. That I think, honestly, besides the mess with the fact that they have DeGrom and Scherzer, I think is probably top 3, top 5 in baseball. In the Dodgers in the Padres staff, you've got a team that is right now is built to continue to play and compete. Will Myers, obviously Fernando Tatis. They have so many guys. You still have Hosmer. Granted, I think he's up for free agency shortly here if he's not up now. I think it's not as a guaranteed clean cut as the Dodgers taking the division. But I think the Padres are definitely going to be in contention, pushing on the Dodgers.
Yeah, the one thing I would say about the Padres is that they were expected to do that last year. And they imploded. Granted, they did fire the head coach. They did hire the manager from the A's, which his name is slipping my mind, but
Bud Black.
Yeah.
With a Bud Black.
Yeah. So they do have a new manager, and obviously his history with the A's taking a team with arguably, or objectively less talent and finding a way to have them in the race, which is insane. So having him, I just, I just, I don't. I'll believe it when I see it. I'll be very happy to be proven wrong if Tatis can put a full healthy year, and that's something else for their starting pitching. They were so injured last year. If
Yes.
if you can prove to me that you're healthy, then yes, I believe the Padres have an outside chance. But if they're even slightly banged up, either starting pitching or some of their stars, Dodgers take it. To me, I think the Giants, I think Gabe Kapler, I think their entire coaching staff is very good. So I think the Giants will still be in it. So I think it's Padres really, they're third place until you prove me wrong. And everyone else, I mean, Diamondbacks and the Rockies, they're, no offense to all their fans, but they're very hard to watch. And so I think it's Dodgers, Giants, Padres. If the Padres, again, if they prove me wrong, I'll be very happy to see it. But I'll believe it when I see it.
Dude, this is bulletin board material. They're gonna hang this in their locker room all year. Jake from the Family Bases podcast talk mess.
Yeah, I'm sure they're catching in. I'm sure I'm gonna be the voice that's gonna make them go crazy. But yeah, I mean, the Dodgers are too talented to slide back too far.
Yeah.
At the very worst, they're a wild card team like they were last year, and they beat the Giants pretty easily in the playoffs. Not easily, but they beat them in the playoffs. So I still got to give it to them. Everyone else, I think it's really easy. I think it's Diamondbacks and Rockies are fine for the worst record in baseball, and that bodes well for everyone else.
Yeah, easy to beat up on. If you got easy wins on your schedule, you got to take them, right? I mean, the Cubs don't complain when we get to play the Pirates, or the Reds. Sox don't get to complain when they play the Tigers, who I think are going to be good, and we'll get to that in a couple weeks. But Javi, baby, Javi.
I mean, the Tigers. We'll get to the AL Central later. I think the Tigers are going to be pretty good. So let's not save them anymore.
Me and Jake are on the same wavelength.
Maybe the Guardians, but we'll see. But anyway, so if Dan, do you have any more questions for us about the NL West?
Questions about the West? No.
Who's got the best uniform in the West?
That's the Dodgers, baby.
Oh no way! I love the. I know it's bad. I love the Padres gray with brown and gold stripes. I don't know why, but I love that Padres uniform.
That would be highly incorrect, but I mean, you're entitled to your opinion.
That's amazing.
It's subjective, bro.
No, you're wrong. Anyway, the Diamondbacks jerseys are incredible. Yeah, and any version, whether they throw back to their '90s ones, great.
The only one that's good.
Great. The ones that
and they
were bad,
actually the
they,
Diamondbacks.
like bubble pants that they wore, whatever.
No, the Diamondbacks this year had a city jersey. Their city jersey was great.
Oh,
I love that one.
The
Serpientes.
Yeah, Serpientes. There we go.
Yeah. But yeah. So
all poop.
We can even talk about jerseys in the next couple episodes. We'll talk about that. So let's hit home plate as we finish rounding the bases, and let's take our Chicago takes of the week, because again, we're four cousins from Chicago, and we'll start off with Dan. What is your Chicago team sports take of the week?
Hawks looking better. Hopefully in the second half here, they're going to start to pick it up. They lost today. They had a matinee against the inaugural season of the Seattle Kraken. They
Wait, you're not talking about the Atlanta Hawks?
Yeah, the Atlanta Hawks. We're talking about Chicago sports. I'm going to talk about the Atlanta Hawks. But no, coming into today, they had won 4 in a row. They were looking for 5th win in a row to get back to 500 at 18-18. They fell short. I was able to listen to the game on my phone while I was finishing up work today. They sounded pretty good. It sounded like the first. They came out a little flat in the first and turned it on. And then Seattle came back into it, tied it up, forced overtime, went to a shootout, and it was a tough loss. Theo Marc-Andre Fleury, played probably one of the best games I've seen him play all season. Even including the shutout they just had the other day. He absolutely was. He made saves today that consistently he made a save that was better than the save he made prior. I think he made 3 or 4 saves that you could look at as his save of the year so far in today's game alone. The dude just absolutely stood on his head. And it sucked to see him come away with 1 point and not a win. So, but it's good to see the Hawks kind of turning it around, hopefully, here in the second half. We'll see.
Yeah. And Ben, what is your take of the week?
It's going to be about the Bears. Who are the Bears going to hire as their head coach? Devil from the Bills had a great showing. That's the direction that they ended up going with. He put up quite the display. But again, it's just so hard because you look at that guy and you're like, oh, that'll work out, right? You look at what the Bills do and you're like, oh, that'll be fine. But then you realize we don't have Josh Allen, we don't have Stephon Diggs, we don't have their team. So it's like, what are we really doing? It's such a. I want the Bears to be good, but until they start making wholesale changes from the very top, I don't think it's going to happen. So we'll just ride it out and hope for the best. Whoever they hire, you end up hoping gets something out of Fields and makes that pick worthwhile because we'll get a first-round pick back next year. And so that'll help as long as we have a GM who is, competent and can make a good pick.
Yeah. It should be pretty interesting to see how that turns out. Mm-hmm. And Dallas, what is your take of the week?
I'm excited we're in hockey season now. I don't know. I'm done watching football. So.
Because the Bears are out or just in general?
Yeah, because the Bears are out.
Yeah.
You don't really watch any playoffs?
Yeah, he's talking to you.
Oh, yeah, I watched 3 minutes of the Cowboys yesterday.
Oh. I mean, I pay less. I'll admit, I pay less attention to football as the postseason comes around the corner due to the fact that the Bears aren't in it.
But your fantasy record shows that you don't pay much attention to football either. So.
Yeah, I still watch when I can. Just because it's still football. I like watching. Plus, right now, it's the only thing on outside of hockey and basketball, which Bulls are playing.
It's the only thing on
outside of two entirely other sports.
Two of the other major
all the other television that's on a daily basis.
Stateside.
Hey, can we all take a quick moment just to acknowledge the fact that curling is going to be on TV in a couple weeks?
Oh my gosh!
Olympics.
Yeah,
coming up, baby.
No, we're not acknowledging that. We're ignoring
it's amazing.
It's the bags.
Right.
Jake, I don't know what you're sleeping on. Don't sleep on curling, Jake.
I will sleep through it. It is it's so bad.
That's the level of disrespect.
Congrats to them if they make it there, but I am not watching. That's all.
Sad.
You need to step your curling game up.
It's sad that you have a curling game.
It's a beautiful thing.
That's a weird way. It's a weird way to say amazing.
Yeah. Anyway, so we'll go to me on my take of the week, which that could be my take is that curling's horrible. But my take of the week is actually on the team we have not talked about yet, but actually is my second favorite Chicago sports team. You guys can see my sweatshirt right now. See Chicago Red Stars, the women's soccer league. A great year last year. They made it to the championship on pretty much a depleted roster. And for anyone who knows anything about me, the women's soccer is again probably the sport I watch that's second most in this house. And the Chicago Red Stars have 4 players going to the national team training camp in this month, and they also just re-signed Yuki Nagasato to back to the club after playing a couple years in she played in Louisville and elsewhere. But now they are retooling their team. I'm very happy to see them getting some praise, and hopefully you're going to see them a lot more on national TV this year.
Yeah.
So again, Chicago Red Stars. If you guys don't know about them, look them up, and you guys will have some fun if you guys like some soccer. So anyway.
Hey, good.
That's
Football.
Realistically, the only time I watch soccer is during World Cup.
I mean, I get that, but I would say the NWSL is getting a lot better. They have a lot of international talent, and they have a lot of the U.S. women's national team playing in their own league. So it's great. They're great games every single week. It's fun. The one thing is they have a lot of turmoil going on within the league, but anyway, so that's something for another day. So again, this will wrap up the On a Family Based podcast. My name is Jake.
I'm Dallas.
I'm Ben. I mean, good
I'm
job,
Dan.
Ben. Going in a pattern, pal. But
Either way, whatever works.
Everyone's
So
screen
again-
is different.
I don't know.
I don't know if that's true, but
Yeah, but again, this will wrap up the third episode of On a Family Basis, and we will be back next week. Dan will not be here, so it might go off the rails. You guys will have to check and see.
I'm not sure. I'm the one that keeps us on the rail here, but
Again, thank you guys for joining, and we will see you guys this time next week.
gang.
bye.
Bye.